This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Man, do they just keep on getting it done. The Brewers rolling in ATL, a 7-2 win over the Braves in Game 2 of their 3-game series. Freddy Peralta, 5 innings this evening, allowing just 1 earned run. The legend, yes, the legend of Andrew Vaughn keeps on growing. Isaac Collins coming up with a big hit. The offense just keeps on chugging along for the Brew Crew, winning tonight 5 in a row in 8 of their last 9 games have been victorious. Lots to get to on the program. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, a bunch of other great, terrific podcast apps, as well as over on YouTube. You can catch myself and my guy Chuck Freeman on The Daily Show on YouTube. All of our content on YouTube, free, of course. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live, and do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button, because the Brewers once again are victorious tonight. We'll talk about Freddy Peralta in the start tonight for him. And if you maybe you have some concerns out there, because I have a little bit of concern when it comes to Freddy Peralta. Not a big one, just a little one. The legend, as we mentioned, of Andrew Vaughn once again continues to feel like it grows every single at bat for him. And my message for this team tomorrow, plain and simple, finish the job. We'll talk about that as well. And of course, the Brewers won, guys. Your thoughts, your opinions, your questions, your comments. And you know it when it's a win, baby, on the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. Your celebrations are all welcome on tonight's program. We will get to all of them as the show goes on. Let's start with our scoring summary this evening, brought to you by our wonderful partners over at FanDuel and 5 Hour Energy. And it all begins in the 3rd inning for both of these teams. And without further ado, you don't have to sit around and wait long for the turning point in a 7-2 Brewers win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Very, very interesting inning for the Brewers, getting some lucky breaks, but that's okay, because we've been on the other end of those time in and time out again. So we'll begin the 3rd inning for the Brewers. Blake Perkins would get a single early in the inning. Ortiz with an infield single as well to follow him. Durbin would then, Caleb Durbin back in the lineup, would then draw a walk. A little bit of luck. A softly hit ball for Christian Yelich would lead to an infield single. That would give the Brewers their first run of the game, a 1-0 advantage. And then a little bit more luck again in the at-bat for a wild pitch that would score Joey Ortiz. And I want to put a pin in the wild pitch. At-bat was Andrew Vaughn. And we're going to come back to that wild pitch. So hold on to that thought when it comes to that wild pitch that would score Joey Ortiz. And then after that wild pitch eventually would lead to an Andrew Vaughn 2-run RBI single to left field. Andrew Vaughn, not only was that a terrific at-bat from Andrew Vaughn, I put it on my X account at Brandon_Snide. I thought it was the at-bat of the year. I don't know off the top of my head where or when I've seen a better at-bat from a Brewer at most, really of most recent memory. 12 pitches thrown in that at-bat that eventually led to that single by Andrew Vaughn. But he was down in that count 0-2. And again, if there's something that you could capitalize what this Brewers team is and describe what they are or who they are, it was the at-bat right there of Andrew Vaughn, fighting off pitch after pitch, taking pitches right outside the zone, being smart with an approach, being aggressive, but being smart at the same time, fighting off pitches that were in the zone, that were good pitches, and then finally finding one to drive to left field and taking, look, an 0-2 count, and you're allowing or you force Atlanta to throw a wild pitch that would eventually score Joey Ortiz and putting pressure on opposing pitchers. That's exactly what this Brewers team did. Not only have they done in really the last 2 or so longer months, but really what they did in that at bat tonight. And part of that was the, a terrific approach from Andrew Vaughn, who continues to just absolutely shine and make Matt Arnold continue to look like the genius that he is. But the Brewers would get 4 total runs in that third inning. Eli White for the Atlanta Braves would follow up the third inning from the Brewers in the fourth inning with a solo home run off of Freddy Peralta. That would make the score 4-1. The sixth inning, though, Terrain would get a single. That would score Isaac Collins. In the seventh inning, the reigning rookie of the month for the month of July, and Isaac Collins following up with a single to center field when the bases were juiced. That would score 2 more runs for Milwaukee. That would give them a 7-1 advantage. And then later on in the seventh, there would be some struggles with Aaron Ashby on the mound, some control struggles, a handful of walks in that seventh inning. He would walk a run in, but that would be it for scoring as the Brewers get the 7-2 victory tonight in Atlanta. As we mentioned, game 2 of their 3-game series, now 25 games over 500, 69 and 44. And I know we've talked about the road record. I know we talked about it yesterday, inching closer and closer to having a really, really dominant road record. They're 9 games over 500 now on the road and have a chance to go for this sweep tomorrow. Good things, good baseball being played with this Milwaukee Brewers team. But there is a little concern for me, and we'll get into that. But before we get into the Freddy Peralta concern, I do want to introduce tonight's Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game in a 7-2 Brewers win.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Yeah, you might at this point maybe name the award after him. Andrew Vaughn once again getting the honors on the Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. Not only, was that at bat in the third inning absolutely critical, the turning point, part of the turning point in the third inning where the Brewers were plated 4 total runs, but the 2-run RBI single. And it feels like every time Andrew Vaughn comes up to bat with runners in scoring position, we are talking about Andrew Vaughn coming up with a big hit, whether it be a grand slam against the Chicago Cubs, whether it be a game-tying single against the Dodgers at American Family Field, or it's a 2-run RBI single to left field to kind of get the Brewers going offensively in this game, at least help them put up a crooked number in that third inning. As we had mentioned, the 4 runs scored in total and really kind of catapulted this game to new heights for the Brewers, offensively speaking. So Andrew Vaughn, once again, your Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. I would be remiss, though, Andrew Vaughn tonight, let's see, what was he? 1 for 3 at the plate. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Isaac Collins. We talked about the award he won, Rookie of the Month in the month of July, 2 for 4 as well tonight for Isaac Collins. He did score a run. He did bat in a few runs as well. I thought Isaac Collins was huge. So a good night at the plate for, once again, the middle of your order, Andrew Vaughn. Christian Yelich had a hit this evening. We talked about Vaughn. We talked about Collins. For this team to not skip a beat literally at all without 2 of their, I would say they're probably 1 and 2 as far as your best players, certainly at the plate this year, in Churio and Sal Frelick. I know Andrew Vaughn's obviously in that conversation in the month or so that he's been up here. For this team to not miss a beat at all during any team, really any team that loses their 2 best players, certainly offensively, and you can make the case defensively as well. Jackson Churio out in center field has been fantastic. Sal Frelick's one of the best defensive right fielders in all of baseball, as well as at the plate for both of those guys. Any other team in baseball loses their top 2 players, do you see them rattling off 8 out of 9 wins, 5 in a row, 38 runs in over a weekend? And I don't care if it's the Nationals. It doesn't matter. It's still a professional baseball team. That's hard to do against anybody. And the Brewers made it look easy. And they made it look easy without 2 of their best, maybe their 2 best players all around this year so far in Sal Frelick and Jackson Churio. Again, a lot of credit to Matt Arnold and his staff. You go all the way down with Arnold and his staff, certainly on the pitching side, as we have talked at lengths of Chris Hook and Jim Henderson. But a lot of credit as well should go to Brewers general manager Matt Arnold and the job that he's been able to do to supplement this team with depth. Depth is such a huge and kind of overlooked conversational piece when you talk about teams and what they're going to do or what they can do or the potential that they have. But being able to actually see depth come to light, right? And actually see guys like Blake Perkins step up and do what he needs to do. Caleb Durbin, has kind of been back and forth. Pat Murphy talked about him just needing a little bit of time to catch back up, but coming back in this evening and back in the lineup for the Brewers. We had talked about what Isaac Collins and Andrew Vaughn bring to this team, and it just feels like it doesn't matter who kind of comes in and who's out, who's hurt, who's not. The Brewers keep on producing, and they do it tonight. A 7-2 win over the Atlanta Braves. A little bit of concern, though. I know Freddy Peralta got the win this evening, 13-5. And before we get to your thoughts and your reactions, I did want to dive into the things that you'll be talking about tomorrow, even after a Brewers 7-2 win.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Any red flags? I'm not pressing the alarm button. I'm just cautiously watching every start from now on with Freddy Peralta. In the last three, although tonight wasn't bad, but it's the pitching, it's the control for Freddy Peralta. Fastball was nowhere near where it needed to be this evening. 89 pitches thrown for Freddy Peralta after 4 innings pitched. Now, he does have 13 wins, including the victory tonight. He leads Major League Baseball. He's tied with wins with 13. But the last 3 starts tonight, again, not terrible. If you look at the box score, you're like, okay, well, 5 innings pitched, allowed the 1 run. Not terrible, but it's the control and the amount of pitches that Freddy Peralta gets himself into. You go back to the game July 30th against the Cubs, the only game they lost in that series, where he only threw 4 innings pitched, only threw 85 pitches and gave up 5 earned runs. And then you go to the Miami Marlins, one of the games they lost in that 3-game series at American Family Field a handful of days before that Chicago series, kind of the same thing. 5 innings pitched, threw almost 100 pitches at 98 and allowed just 1 earned run in that game, but the Brewers would end up losing 5-1. But for me, it's just the control with Freddy Peralta. It's the pitch count, the early pitch count with Freddy Peralta. And once again, we saw it a little bit this evening. It's kind of what we saw against the Cubs, a lot of what we saw against the Marlins. It's starting counts 0-1, 0-2, and not being able to finish them. And that's the frustrating part with Freddy Peralta. If Freddy Peralta can get things going and kind of get back to what we saw in May, where I believe in May he had darn near a sub 3 ERA, and July and June where his ERA was just over 3. That's the Freddy this team needs going forward. Now, it helps when you have a Woodruff and you have a Mizorowski and you have guys that can step in. Quinn Priester, as we saw on Monday evening, get the win as well. 7 strong innings from him, but just something I'm paying attention to, going forward with this Brewers team. Not bad, but frustrating because Freddie has the stuff. We've seen the stuff. He's just got to get that fastball, that control with that fastball under control. And if he can get that going, those starts are going to look a lot better for not only for Freddie going forward, but for the Brewers as well. The Brewers get the win 7-2. Your thoughts, your reactions loaded up on the program after this. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports in full swing. Whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or the high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why don't you make it a little more thrilling? And with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned there over at Bradford Beach. And right now, if you are brand new to FanDuel, I got a deal for you. New customers can bet just $5 simple. Brewers got 5 wins in a row. You can bet $5 now. It's destiny. And if that first $5 bet hits, you get $150 in bonus bets. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's show also brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape and ginger and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink minus the alcohol into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, guys, some days on the course, or if you're like me, off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and stay energized. The FanDuel offer was great, but this one's just as good. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGolf. And yes, you're listening to a Brewers postcast where they won 7-2. But if you use the promo code LOCKEDONGolf, you get 20% off of your first order. The offer is only valid until September 30th, so you got to act now on one order, and it cannot be used with other promotions. It is also not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-HourEnergyShots.com at 5-HourEnergy.com. The Brewers get their 5th win in a row, including their 8th of their last 9 games, a 7-2 win over the Atlanta Braves. Freddy Peralta getting the victory tonight. 5 innings pitched, just the 1 earned run allowed. Not the greatest night for control for Freddy, but nonetheless, the Brewers get the victory. Aaron Ashby making an appearance, Grant Anderson making an appearance. The Brewers, nonetheless, getting the bats in order once again. They won the game last night with only 3 hits on the road, which I don't know if that's going to happen many times, but it did happen last night for this team because they are just playing that good of baseball right now. 8 hits for the Brewers, 7 runs scored, big hits from Andrew Vaughn, Isaac Collins. And your thoughts, your reactions lined up on the program. Let's go with Andrew over on YouTube. Says Mears and Ashby lacked killer instinct, but got out of major jams with limited damage. Yeah, not the greatest appearances tonight for the Brewers on the mound, but we talked about this last night, you guys. Not a great, again, Freddy Peralta got the win. If you watch the game, I don't think you're looking at that start from Freddy Peralta and saying that was a tremendous start. We've seen better. We will see better out of Freddy, and he certainly will tell you those words exactly. Not a great night from Aaron Ashby, control-wise. A handful of walks in that 7th. Not a great appearance from Nick Mears. But the Brewers still won 7-2. We've talked about this. It's not like how many teams can beat you in the ways that the Brewers are able to beat other teams, right? It is a 9-inning boxing match with this Milwaukee Brewers team. And it's so many different ways, whether it's taking close pitches at the plate, being aggressive at the plate, hitting with runners in scoring position. The Brewers tonight, 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position. They can just beat you in so many different ways. And oh, by the way, the guy that they traded for, we're talking about from Andrew. Thank you for the comment. As always, Andrew, with Mears and Ashby. Shelby Miller tonight in Nashville, 17 pitches thrown, 3 strikeouts, struck out the side, touched 96 miles per hour. So he's going to be on his way here in Milwaukee. Remember the trade deadline, a topic, of concern going into the second half of the season because of what the Brewers may not have done or did do. Certainly feels like it's paying dividends. And you include Quinn Priester, who we saw last night, and you include Andrew Vaughn, who we saw this evening, and then eventually hopefully get Shelby Miller out in the bullpen. Every day, Cody, 69 wins, and if the score holds up, a 4-game lead for our Brewers. Ashby and Anderson did their best to let Atlanta have hope, but nonetheless, a win for the Brew Crew. It is the bottom of the 9th in Chicago as we are live over on YouTube, and the Cubs are currently down 5-1 to the surging Cincinnati Reds. It certainly feels like the Brewers will end this evening with a 4-game advantage in the National League Central Division, and it feels like every game that they can gain on the Cubs before that 5-game series at Wrigley is huge. So a good opportunity tonight for this Brew Crew. Every day or Nick, I like the Crew winning. Another great win. Serious question, Brandon. In a playoff series, do you have Freddy in the starting rotation? He's great, but does he give you the best chance starting? We kind of talked about Freddy and my thoughts on him. You have to. I think so. I do believe he is a leader, not only in the rotation, but in the clubhouse. And we've seen good Freddy this year. Like, it hasn't been good from recent memory. April, May, June, Freddy was really good. At the back end of July, as we touched on his numbers a little bit, not the greatest, but also put up a lot of wins in the month of July. So I'm not overly concerned, as I'd mentioned, talking about the things you'll be talking about tomorrow. I'm not overly concerned. I'm not sounding any alarms. I'm not ringing any bells or anything like that, but it's something I've been paying attention to kind of all year with Freddy, because it seems to be the one thing that kind of is his Achilles heel is the early issues that he presents himself, right? These guys aren't, their exit velo off of Freddy isn't going to wow you. There's nothing special about what other teams are doing against Freddy Peralta. It's Freddy Peralta putting himself in these situations, putting guys on base right away in the first inning, 2 guys on base. And it's getting guys into an 0-2 count and then allowing them a free pass after you walk them. Those are the things that can't happen. And that will, I believe, get fixed over time. I certainly trust, the guys in Chris Hook and Jim Henderson in that pitching staff. So I think it's going to be, okay going forward with Freddy. I'm just keeping an eye on it. Not a Whale over on YouTube, part of our everydayer. Watch Crew win on FanDuel and watching the Cubs lose on national TV, life's good. Yeah, it's pretty good right now. If you're a Brewers fan, it's probably pretty good right now. And despite where a lot of teams, as we had talked about it, would probably be struggling and stressed out right now if they lost their two best players, which the Brewers have during this time in Sal Frelick and Jackson Chourio, probably wouldn't be having as good of a time as you and I are having. Not a whale with their fifth straight win, a 7-2 win over the Braves, can go for the sweep tomorrow evening after sweeping the Nationals and all this on the road. And again, I don't care who you play on the road. Winning on the road is huge, regardless of who it is. And again, your schedule is what it is. You know, I mean, you can't dictate who you play and who you don't play, but it is what it is. But it's a great opportunity ahead for this team. Jordan over on YouTube, is this the best the Brewers have ever been at this point in the season? To answer your question, actually, yes. 44-16 in their last 60 games. That is a franchise best for this team. So they have been playing some of their best baseball, the best record in Major League Baseball, the longest that has happened since the 82 season at this point in the season. This is now the big thing is, as was with a lot of Wisconsin sports fans, is you wait for that other proverbial shoe to fall and what happens. But you look, this team is doing it and all facets of the game, batting average, ERA, weighted runs created plus. I mean, and they're doing it in so many different ways with so many different guys. That's the thing. I mean, Andrew Vaughn has morphed into Shohei Ohtani at the plate, right? I don't want to sound, hyperbolic there, but that's who he's turned into. I mean, he's batting an insane amount of what his numbers have morphed into since he left Chicago and joined Milwaukee are Aaron Judge like, Shohei Ohtani like, and I'm not even being hyperbolic. Those are legit. His OPS plus is better right now over the last 30 days than Aaron Judge's is in New York. So I mean, it's insane right now what this Brewers team has been doing and how they've been doing it. Again, it goes back to, Matt Arnold and manager Pat Murphy. Glory Days Sports over on YouTube says, so I caught Shelby Miller's rehab stint for Nashville Sounds. 3 up, 3 down, pitched very well, a little bit of control, but not pitching for a month. Great rehab stint. I see him joining the Brewers very soon. Yeah, I would anticipate you'll see Shelby Miller. I would guess Easton McGee's probably back on his way down to Nashville when that happens. But again, you add a high leverage arm who, before the injury, Shelby Miller was really, really good, including 10 saves for the struggling Arizona Diamondbacks. Kyle over on YouTube says, I would not worry about Peralta. During the regular season, he is known to give up a few runs, but when he gets into a big game, he steps up. Look back at the Mets last year. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's just your leader. He's proven it. I don't have any concerns. When I mentioned that in the segment, I was just looking at it the last handful of starts for Freddie, and it's just kind of been the one thing, right? He just kind of digs himself into a little bit of a hole and tries too hard to get himself out of it. And before you know it, he adds on a few extra runs that maybe wouldn't have crossed if he was able to be a little sharper with that fastball, certainly early in the game. Cheddarhead Tailgate over on YouTube says it feels like the big difference this year is the pitching staff every game. We have a legit chance to shut any team down. Go Crew. Even when we don't shut any team down, although I mostly agree with you, Cheddarhead Tailgate, which is a fantastic name, go Packers. But even if you're not able to shut other teams down, they're able to score runs at the same pace, if not better, than any other team that they're playing. So again, it goes back to this team being able to win in many different ways, and that is exactly what we're seeing tonight. Tom over on YouTube says starter did poorly, bullpen did poorly, gave up 2 total runs. We got some high standards now. Great. Yeah. And maybe that's us nitpicking, Tom. That's a great point and a great comment. And I appreciate you over there on YouTube. I mean, it could be nitpicking, and it's certainly, you would be right. I think, there's a point to be made there. Not the greatest performance. Again, we've seen a lot better out of Freddie, certainly with 7 strikeouts and 5 innings pitched and only allowing 1 earned run. You're like, wow, that's probably pretty good. But the standards when it comes to pitching in Milwaukee are high, right? Like, that's the strength of this team. So we're not knocking I'm not knocking Freddy Peralta tonight. But I think if you look at Freddy Peralta, if you talk to Freddy Peralta, if you really got an honest answer from Freddy Peralta, he would tell you that tonight wasn't his best game and he'll be better going forward. And I, wholeheartedly believe that. Billy over on YouTube celebrating the Chicago Cubs. Score is final in their Game 2 against the Reds, a 5-1 loss. The Brewers now holding a 4-game lead in the National League Central Division. So good things happening with this Brewers team, certainly in the division. Again, the best record in baseball, 44-16 over their last 60. 5th straight win, and 8th of their last 9th have been victorious. So good things happening for this Brewers team. Certainly go for this sweep tomorrow against the Atlanta Braves. Jose Quintana on the mound. A few more comments here before we get things rolling. Todd, that 12th pitch at bat by Vaughn was the real deal. I may have to listen to some Cubs fans whine this evening. It was, and that, again, that at bat is the reason he's my player of the game. Could easily look at Isaac Collins. I thought Isaac Collins had a big hit when the Brewers, kind of needed a little bit more juice, certainly in the scoring column. And he provided that once again, as he has since he's been up here. But it felt like that at bat for Andrew Vaughn was kind of the dagger, if you will, into the Braves. You allow a runner to score on a wild pitch. You have an infield single, allows a run to score. The Brewers weren't beating you. You're getting some bad breaks if you're a Braves fan. But then Andrew Vaughn steps up and he's down early in that count 0-2, fouls off a handful of pitches. It goes all the way to 12, and then boom, the single into left field, and the Brewers capture a four-run advantage. And with Freddy on the mound and those guys on the mound, the back end of the bullpen, you knew that the Brewers were going to eventually walk out of this game victorious, and certainly that's what they did. Outdoorsman Show over on YouTube says, love seeing the crew continue to slug it out each and every night. Serious question, where is Reese, Jake Bauers, Churio, Sal Frelick, and Miz in terms of return? So Reese looks like the back end of August. Jackson Churio right now, the latest report is 2 to 4 weeks. Sal Frelick was actually available off the bench. He looks like he's going to be okay going forward. And Jacob Mizorowski it'll be a minimum IL for him. So he'll be back after his 15-day stint, which I believe was retroactivated to the 31st. Don't quote me on that. Somewhere in the back end of July for Jacob Mizorowski. So these guys are all slowly but surely coming back. I think by the start of September, Jake Bauer is still battling with that shoulder impingement. So the resurgence of Andrew Vaughn here in Milwaukee, and then certainly when Rhys Hoskins comes back, you can use Jake Bauers in the outfield. So hopefully by early September, Outdoorsman Show, I believe you will probably have ideally all of those guys back as far as being on the roster and being healthy. Thanks to each and every one of you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. That'll do it for tonight's program. The Brewers winning 7-2 over the Braves. Remember, wherever you guys get podcasts, you can get this program. We are free and available wherever you get audio podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, and of course, over on YouTube. Everything is free over on YouTube for us. Just go to that search bar, type in Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live. And do me a favor, if you're on the live stream right now, smash that thumbs up button for me. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where I cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. As always, guys, it certainly feels better after you've won not one, not two, but 5 in a row, but it certainly feels better after a win. It is always Go Brewers. We'll talk tomorrow as Jose Quintana on the mound as the Brewers will look for the sweep in Atlanta. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. See you.